been talking about the alarming rise of heroin and drug-related deaths and crimes hitting the Western Massachusetts area. And tonight we hear from a former drug addict who is now trying to warn kids about the dangers of drug addiction and abuse. Connecting Point contributor Carolee McGrath has more.
24-year-old Kaylin Krikorian and her mother Sue are very close. Kaylin is an only child. She grew up in Leicester, a small town near Worcester. She loved horses as a little girl and had your all-American childhood.
Your mom looks like a nice gal. I bet you had a nice upbringing, nice small town. Tell me about, growing up.
I grew up normally. Everything was great. I had everything that I needed, Oh, it's gonna be hard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Telling her story, as she's been doing for the last year and a half, to groups of parents and young people has been difficult. Although Kaylin fights through the tears, she says, to help others dealing with addiction.
I tried drugs and I tried drinking, but it just didn't really stick with me. I liked to drink, but I liked pills a lot better. It was easier and you could disguise it.
Kaylin started using painkillers after high school when she began going to school for hairdressing.
I never had a lot of ambition before, and pills gave me the ambition. I was the best hairdresser at the time at my school, and I could do everything better, and I felt like pills gave me the confidence and the ability to do that.
But before she knew it, she says, the pills ruled her life.
Once I started doing drugs, I was all in. It wasn't just part-time on the weekend, it was every day. It was like a full-time job trying to keep my habit up, and it's just not fun. You think it's gonna be fun forever, and it turns into a job.
Kaylin has been clean for more than 18 months, but it's been a long road, she says.
I went to a 12-step program where I worked through my 7th step, and then I knew that I had to go to sober living, so I went to sober living for 9 months, and then I moved back home.
Kaylin now volunteers for Learn to Cope, a support group for parents of children who are addicted to heroin, OxyContin, and other drugs.
They spend so much time taking care of their children, worrying about what they're doing, and they have no time for themselves. They completely deplete their lives of what life should be, and this teaches them to live.
Sue attends Learn to Cope meetings in Worcester. The organization started in the Boston area 10 years ago.
When I found out Kaylin was an addict or taking pills, we had no idea. We thought it was depression. We thought that it was boyfriend troubles. We thought it was work troubles. You don't want to think that your child's an addict.
Learn to Cope recently opened up a chapter out here in Holyoke for families in Western Massachusetts, where both big cities and small towns are trying to combat the heroin problem.
It's a very destructive, non-discriminatory drug. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. People that use heroin for the first time, particularly kids, use heroin for the very first time. They spend the rest of their lives trying to obtain that first high that they had the very first time.
East Hampton Police Captain Robert Alberti worked on the Federal Drug Task Force in Western Mass for more than 5 years.
The trail of heroin, particularly in what we see most in the Northeast, comes out of Mexico into Texas. From Texas, it's then shipped to the New England states, either by UPS, FedEx. It gets into New York City, and from New York City we get our biggest influx of heroin in Western Massachusetts comes from New York City.
City leaders in Franklin and Hampshire County have called the heroin problem an epidemic. According to the Northwestern District Attorney's Office, there have been 11 suspected overdose deaths since December in Franklin and Hampshire counties and in the town of Athol.
I've heard the term dubbed that the 91 corridor, the term was referenced as the Heroin Highway. So there's a big drug transportation route on Route 91 going north from the bigger cities, moving heroin up into those areas.
And as communities all over Massachusetts try to combat this drug problem, Kaylin hopes her message will resonate with young kids.
It's hard to say, like, don't do drugs, because there's always going to be drugs around and there's always going to be that temptation, you know what I mean? There's always going to be that peer pressure, but I just want to like let kids know that like it's not all fun and games. You might think you might have a handle on it, but you're never going to.
Reporting for Connecting Point, I'm Carolee McGrath.